Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to discuss about sericulture in India. What is sericulture and what is the status of sericulture in India? So now welcome to sericulture. So these are the contents which we are going to discuss in today's class about introduction, history of sericulture, types of silkworms, life cycle of silkworms, sericulture, stages of production, production and share, health hazards in sericulture, sericulture opportunities, Central Research Institute of India, Silk Road, and conclusion. So all these subtopics can be covered in this lesson. Now coming to introduction, you can see the silkworm here. This is about the mulberry leaves. Silkworm generally feed on mulberry leaves. The sericulture is derived from the Greek word. Sericulture is derived from Greek word. In Greek, serikos means silk and kos means culture. So the sericulture means silk culture, silkworm culture, right? The rearing of silkworm for production of silk is called as sericulture. Sericulture means the rearing of silkworms for the production of silk is called sericulture. In fact, sericulture refers to the mass-scale rearing of silk-producing organism in order to obtain silk. Silk is secreted by silk glands of the silkworm, that is a fibrous protein of insect origin. Silk is a fibrous protein. The origin is insect origin. Why? Because the silk is secreted by the silk glands of the silkworm. So it is insect origin. The protein is fibrous protein. Silk is nothing but a protein. The protein is the fibrous type of protein, and the origin of that silk or protein is insect. Silk fiber consists of two types of proteins. The silkworm secretes silk fiber. That fiber consists of two different proteins, include fibroin and sericin. Fibroin about 80% and sericin about 20%. The total 100% of silk fiber can be secreted by the silk glands of the silkworm. China ranks first in the production of silk, and India is the second largest producer of silk after China. So the first silk produced in China, then the second place occupied by India. So the largest consumer of silk in the world is India only. India is the largest consumer of silk in the world. So in India, which state is the largest producer of silk means Karnataka. Karnataka is the largest producer of silk in India. India produces all varieties of silk, namely Tassar, Muga, Mulberry and Eri silk. So India produces all varieties of silk. So there are different um, species of silkworms can produce different types of silk, including Tassar, Muga, Mulberry and Eri silks. Right? Now coming to sericulture. What is sericulture? Sericulture is nothing but rearing of silkworms for the silk production. Right? This we have discussed already in the previous slide. And sericulture is both art and science of raising silkworms for silk production. This is also an art and science. And amongst the species of silkworms, Bambyx mori is the most widely used. So there are different types of species of silkworms are producing silk. Among these species, Bambyx mori, among those species, Bambyx mori is the most widely used species for silk production. Silk is known as the queen of textile and biosteel because of its strength. So silk is known as the queen of a textile, and the biosteel because of its strength. So, what are the things which we have discussed in this slide means what is sericulture? Sericulture is nothing but the rearing of silkworms for the silk production. So, there are different species which are mm, producing silk. Among them, the Bambyx mori is the most widely used species for silk production, and silk is known as the queen of the textile industry, and it is also called as biosteel because of its strength. Now coming to moriculture. What is moriculture? Moriculture is the science of mulberry cultivation to rear silkworm for silk production. So moriculture is also important for sericulture for the production of silk. So, why moriculture is important means the silkworms are feed on mulberry leaves only. The first priority food of silkworms is mulberry leaves. So, moriculture is important for the cultivation and rearing of silkworms for silk production. Bambyx mori feeds specifically on white mulberry leaves. The Bambyx mori species specifically feed on white mulberry leaves but also eat osage, oranges, and lettuce. So mainly feed on these mulberry leaves uh, and also eat osage, oranges, and lettuce. Other um, leaves also or other plants also. It will feed on other plants also, but mainly depends on mulberry leaves. History of silk. A China tale of the discovery of the silkworms. Silk was by an ancient empress Liju, the wife of the emperor. She was drinking tea under a tree when a silk cocoon fell into her tea and the hot tea loosened the long strand of silk. See, first the history of silk. Silk where the silk was produced means in China the silk was produced first in China. Why? Because uh, how and how the silk was um, produced in China means the ancient Empress Liju, she was the wife of the emperor. She was drinking tea under a tree when a silk cocoon fell into her tea. When she was sitting under the tree and having tea, in that tea cup, there is a cocoon fell down into her uh, tea, and the hot tea loosened the long strand of silk. So, as she picked it out and started to wrap the silk thread around her finger, she slowly felt a warm sensation. When the silk ran out, the she saw a small larva. Then she realized that this caterpillar larva was the source of the silk. So she taught this to the people, and it became widespread. So that is the story behind the silk production. How was the uh, sericulture established in China means that lady Lizu, when she was sitting under a tree and having a tea in the teacup, suddenly a silk cocoon fell into that teacup and that hot tea loosened the long strand of silk. Then she picked it up and started to thread, wrap the silk thread to her finger. Then slowly she felt warm sensation. When the silk ran out, she saw a small larva. Then she realized that this larva was the source of the silk. Then she uh, thought about the story to her people, and it became widespread. So you can see Chinese empress here, and under a drinking tea under a tree, and a silkworm cocoon falls into her teacup, and silk strand unravels and larva exposed. So that is the story or history behind the sericulture in China. First, China is the origin of sericulture. So we can say that which country is the origin of sericulture means China is the origin of sericulture. Why? Because the first sericulture was established in China only with the experience of that lady's discovery. Chinese lady named Sealing Sea invented mystery of silkworm cocoons accidentally. It is said that silk is discovered before 3000 BC. Art of silk production was secret up to 200 BC for about 2800 years. Trading of silk was through the Silk Road at the time. By about 300 AD, sericulture had spread to India from Korea. In 1857, world sericulture industry suffered from febrile disease. In 1857, world sericulture industry completely suffered from febrile disease. This almost destroyed European sericulture industry. So this is almost destroyed all European sericulture industry. Sogdian silk 8th century. Now coming to Aryan. Aryans discovered the silkworm in a sub-Himalayan region. Silk from Kashmir to Bengal was exported to European market during 14th and 15th century. Tipu Sultan of Mysore laid foundation in Mysore, that is Karnataka, produces 70% of country's raw silk. In the year 1771, Chinese silkworm was introduced in India to improve the quality of cocoons. In 1717 to 1775, Italian method of rearing was introduced by East India Company. In 1942, Silk Conference at Delhi was conducted, and the Silk Expansion Scheme was established to meet the requirements of parachute cloth. In the year 1949, Central Silk Board was established. In 1963, CSTRA was established at Mysore. In 1964, Tassar Research Station was established, and regional research stations are established in Salem, Trivandrum, Anantapur, Collegial, Bangalore, Majra, and Rampur. Right? Now coming to different types of silkworms. How many types of silkworms are there for producing raw silk? Means there are 5 major types of silkworms silkworms for commercial importance. The silk obtained from different species of silkworms, which in turn feed on a number of food plants except mulberry. So they can feed on other types of food plants also. Other varieties of silks are generally termed as non-mulberry silks. So other varieties of silks are generally termed as non-mulberry silks. Why? Because they can feed on other food plants. India has the unique distinction of producing all these commercial varieties of silk. So India is producing all these varieties of silk. The silkworm, there are 5 types of silkworms include mulberry silkworms, tussar silkworms. You can see here the mulberry silkworms, tussar silkworms, oak tussar silkworm, eri silkworms, and muga silkworms. These are the 5 types of species which help in producing silk. So, these 5 types of species and their scientific names and family names and their host and producing states. These are the details of silkworms given in this tabular form. So this table shows the type of silk, that is mulberry silk. The silkworm will be in white, or that silk will be in white or cream in color, and scientific name of the silkworm is Bambyx mori, which is widely used in India, and the family is Bambycidae. The family of Bambyx mori is Bambycidae. The host is mulberry plant, Morus species, and producing states are Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. So Bambyx mori, mulberry silk is producing in Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. The production of mulberry silk in India, the states include Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. Tropical Tassar silk, copperish in color. This silk will be copperish in color. The scientific name of the silkworm is Antheria Mylita. The family is Saturnidae, and host will be Arjun, that is Terminalia Arjuna, Asan and Sol. And producing this silk producing this Tassar silk producing states in India are Jharkhand, Orissa, Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, etc. Now coming to oak Tassar silk, temperate Tassar. Temperate Tassar. The scientific name of the silkworm is Antharia proli, and the family is Saturnidae. Host is Carcas species, and the producing states of oak Tassar is sub-Himalayan belt. Now coming to eri silk. This silk is white in color, and the scientific name of the silkworm is Samia cynthia. The family name is Saturnidae, and host is Castor Ricinus communis. And the eri silk producing states are northeastern states, Bihar, West Bengal, Orissa, and so on. Now coming to Muga silk. Muga silk is golden yellow in color, and the name of the silkworm, the scientific name of the silkworm is Antheria asama. The family is Saturnidae, and the host of this silkworm is Som, Persia, Bambicina, Solu. And the producing Muga silk producing state is Assam in India. So this is about the 5 species and their scientific names and family names, and depending on host host details and producing states. Now coming to mulberry silkworm. The bulk of the commercial silk produced in the world comes from this variety, and often silk generally refers to mulberry silk. So the bulk of commercial silk produced in the world comes from this variety, and often silk generally refers to mulberry silk. So So the bulk of the commercial silk produced in the world comes from this variety, and most of the silk, commercial silk, is producing from this type of silkworm, right? That is mulberry silk. Mulberry silk comes from the silkworm Bambyx mori, which solely feed on the leaves of mulberry plant, which is only feed on mulberry plants. In India, the major mulberry silk producing states are Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, and Jammu and Kashmir, which together accounts for 92% of the country's total mulberry raw silk production. So, which together accounts, all these states are producing the total of 92% of the country's total mulberry raw silk. Now coming to tussar silkworm. You can see the mulberry silkworm or moth here, and you can see the tussar silkworm here. Okay. So tussar silk is generated by the silkworm Antheria mellita, which mainly thrive on the food plants Asan and Arjun. It is less lustrous than mulberry silk, but has its own feel and appeal. So tussar silk is mainly produced in the states of Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and Orissa, besides Maharashtra, West Bengal, and Andhra Pradesh. So besides Maharashtra, West Bengal, and Andhra Pradesh, there are other states which are producing tussar silk, include Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and Orissa. Tussar culture is the main stay for main Tussar culture is the main stay for many tribal communities. Tussar culture is the mainstay for many tribal communities. Many tribal communities are depending upon the uh, cultivation of tussar plants and also rearing of tussar silkworms. Right now, coming to oak tussar silkworm. So, oak silkworm or moth looks like this, and it is a finer. It is a finer variety of tussar generated by the silkworm Antheria proli. The scientific name of silkworm is Antheria proli. In India, they feed on natural food plants of oak found in abundance in the sub-Himalayan belt of India, covering the states of Manipur, Himachal Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Assam, Meghalaya, and Jammu and Kashmir. China is the major producer of oak tussar in the world, and this comes from another silkworm which is known as Antheria perni. Antheria perni. So, oak tussar silk can be produced by Antheria royally in India, and which is also produced in China by Antheria perini. And so in India, they feed on natural food plants of oak. It's mainly depending on oak plants. So they found abundance in sub-Himalayan belt of India. They cover states of Manipur, Himachal Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Assam, and Meghalaya, Jammu and Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir also. So Muga silkworm. Muga, you can see the Muga species, Muga silkworm here, and this is the moth which is coming from the Muga silkworm, and Muga obtained from semi-domesticated multi-voltine silkworm Antherae assamensis. This golden yellow color silk is propagative of India and the pride of Assam state. This is the pride of Assam state. Muga culture is specific to the state of Assam and an integral part of the tradition and culture of the state. The Muga silk, an high value product, is used in products like saris, mekhalas, chadars, etc. So, Muga silkworm rearing mostly uh, Muga silk mostly produced from Assam state. Muga culture is specific to the state of Assam and an integral part of the tradition and culture of that state. So, Muga culture is specific to the state of Assam, an integral part of tradition and culture of that state. And this golden yellow color silk is propagative of India and the pride of Assam state. So, the Muga silk and high value product is used in products like saris and chadars, etc. Eri silk. Now coming to Eri silk. This is about Eri silkworm, also known as Endi or Erandi. Eri silk is a product of the domesticated silkworm Philosomia racini that feeds mainly on castor leaves. Agriculture is a household activity practiced mainly for protein-rich pupae, a delicacy for the tribal. The silk is used indigenously for preparation of chaddas. The silk is used indigenously for the preparation of chaddas. And in the India, it also found in Bihar, West Bengal, and Orissa. Right? In India, this culture is practiced mainly in the northeastern states and Assam. It is also found in Bihar, West Bengal, and Orissa. Aries silk mainly produced in northern northeast states like Assam, Bihar, West Bengal, and Orissa. Sericulture and stages of production. The silk moth lays eggs. The silk moth lays eggs. The eggs hatch and the larvae feeds on mulberry leaves. The eggs hatch and the larvae feeds on mulberry leaves. When the silkworms are about 25 days old, they are 10,000 times heavier than when they hatch. They are now ready to spin a silk cocoon. Now this is about the hairy silkworm. Now coming to sericulture and stages of production. The silk moth lays eggs. First step in the sericulture is that the silk moth has to lay eggs on mulberry leaves or whatever the plants um, or leaves which are using for their food. The eggs hatch and the larva feeds on mulberry leaves. The eggs hatch and larva feeds on mulberry leaves. When the silkworms are about 25 days old, they are 10,000 times heavier than when they hatched. They are now ready to spin a silk cocoon. So when the silkworm is reached heavy weight, they are ready to spin a silk cocoon. The silk is produced in two glands. The silk is produced in two glands in the silkworm's head and then forced out in liquid form. The silk is produced in two glands in the silkworm's head and then forced out in liquid form through openings called spinnerets. Through the spinnerets, the silk is produced. Through the spinnerets, the liquid form of silk is produced. The silk solidified when it comes in contact with the air. So the silk glands of the silkworm will secrete the silk that will be in liquid in form when that liquid um, can be uh, thrown out with the help of spinnerets. When it comes in contact with the air, it will become solid. So the silkworm spins approximately 1 mile of filament and completely enclose itself in a cocoon in about 2 or 3 days. So the silkworm spins approximately 1 mile of filament and completely enclose itself in a cocoon in about 2 or 3 days. Due to quality restrictions, the amount of usable silk in each cocoon is small. As a result, 5,500 silkworms are required to produce 1 kg of silk. So, see how difficult it is. For 1 kg silk production, for the production of 1 kg silk, we need 5,500 silkworms. So, we need to rear 5,500 silkworms for the production of 1 kg raw silk. So, due to quality restrictions, the amount of usable silk in each cocoon is small. As a result, that much worms are required for production of 1 kg silk. Now, coming to the silk is obtained from the undamaged cocoon by brushing the cocoon to find the outside end of the filament. So, the silk is obtained from the undamaged cocoon. So, the silk is obtaining from only undamaged cocoons by brushing the cocoon to find the outside end of the filament. The silk filament are then wound on a reel. So, when they found the outside end of the filament, they can uh, wound on a reel. So, now coming to life cycle of silkworm. So, the widely used silkworm is Bambyx mori. So, you can see the life cycle of Bambyx mori here. So, first stage in the life cycle of Bambyx mori is that the female moth lays many tiny eggs. So, silkworm life cycle. The adult moths mate with each other. First, the adult moths mate with each other. Then, the female moth lays many tiny eggs on the mulberry leaves. A tiny black caterpillar hatched out of its eggs. Okay. First, the adult moths can be mate with each other. After mating, the female moth can release eggs on the mulberry leaves. These tiny eggs can be hatched and tiny black caterpillars will be released from that eggs. and they will be feed on mulberry leaves and grow bigger and bigger. It goes through four molds. The development goes through four molds. These stages are called larval stages. First instar, second instar, third and fourth instars. So after the fourth stage, the caterpillar spins the cocoon of silk threads around itself. The caterpillar spins a cocoon of silk thread. Spins a cocoon of a silk thread around itself, and inside inside the cocoon, the caterpillar you can see the caterpillar inside the cocoon, that is called pupa, right? So after pupation, the pupa changes into moth. The moth comes out of the cocoon. So after pupation, the pupa changes into a moth in final stage. The moth comes out of the cocoon. Then the adult moths mate with each other. So the cycle repeats. So this is about the life cycle of silkworm Bambyx mori. Now coming to what is silk. Silk is the queen of textiles, spells luxury, elegance, class, and comfort. Mankind has always loved this shimmering fiber of unparalleled grandeur. It withstood many daunting challenges from other natural and artificial fibers, and it remained the undisputed queen of textiles since centuries. Exvi- exvi- Exquisite qualities like the natural sheen, inherent affinity for dyes and vibrant colors, high absorbance, lightweight, resilience, and excellent drape, etc. The silk is woven into cloth and saris. In India, silk is worn by people as a symbol of royalty while attending functions and during festivals. You can see the silk made clothes. So here this is mulberry silk. You can see the silk here, that is mulberry silk. This is Muga silk. This is the copperish in color, Muga silk copperish in color, mulberry silk whitish or in creamish in color, Muga silk is in copperish in color, Eri silk is in goldish in color, and Tassar silk is also goldish in color. Okay. Now coming to silk production in India. So raw silk production. Here this is year-wise production, right? This is 11 to 12, 12 to 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 17 to 18. This y-axis exhibits years and the x-axis shows the production of silk. In 11 to 12 up to 5,000, and then 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, like that. Meter. So million tons. It might be a million tons. So here you can see the difference. The 11 to 12 to 23,060, 12 to 23,600. So every year the production is increasing every year, right? But in 15-16, little decrease was observed. Then 16-17 and 17-18, there was an increase in the production of silk in India, right? Then employment generation in sericulture sector. So employment generation also increased year by year. You can see the year-wise analysis on x-axis, and this is million persons. So 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, like that. So every year the number of persons are increased for employment opportunities, right? How can we identify silk? Sometimes artificial silk are sold out in the name of natural silk. This can easily be detected with a simple burn test. It will give a smell of burning, and if not, it is not a natural silk. Okay. How do we identify the natural silk and duplicate silk? Means with a little burn test. If you burn a little portion of that cloth, then we will get a burnt smell. If that smell comes, that is a natural silk. If that smell is not comes, it will not a natural silk. So that's how we can identify the natural silk. Now coming to health hazards in sericulture. What are the health hazards? Handling of a dead worm with bare hand contributes to infection and illness. Whenever the dead worms are handling with the bare hands, that can contribute to the infections and illness. Standing almost about 12 to 16 hours a day can lead to problems such as backache, spine problems, and problems related to vision. Continuous exposure to the noise made by spinning and winding machines and looms where the fabric is woven result in hearing problems. So there are health problems which can be occur in sericulture industry due to the noise coming from the spinning and winding machines, and that can lead to cause hearing problems, and standing up to 12 to 16 hours a day, that can lead to cause backaches and spine problems and problems related to vision also sometimes. If people handle the dead worms with bare hands, that can contribute to infections and illness. So these are the health hazards that can occur in sericulture industry. Now coming to sericulture opportunities. What are the opportunities we can get from sericulture? So sericulture being cottage industry plays an important role. Sericulture being cottage industry plays an important role in employment generation and poverty alleviations. So sericulture is a cottage industry which plays an important role in employment generation and poverty alleviation. It is one of the most profitable activity in rural sectors. So it is the profitable activity in rural sector, and availability of indigenous technology at low cost. Why? Because the availability of technology at low cost, regular and quick returns will come, and large demand and popularity of hand woven silk in the West. So there is a large demand for silk, and there is a large demand and popularity for the silk in the West. Scope for establishing the large production units and organized sector. There is a scope for establishing the large production units and organized sector. This silk is woven into cloth and saris. This silk is woven into cloth and saris. India is the largest consumer of silk in the world. So the silk is woven into cloth and saris. India is the largest consumer of silk in the world. So these are the opportunities provided by the sericulture. So the technology, we will get the technology at low cost. So quick returns and regular and quick returns will be there, and large demand for the silk in western part, and the scope for establishing the large production units and organized sectors. So it is one of the most profitable activity in rural sector. Particularly in rural sector, there is a land, maximum land facility will be there, and they can use that land for sericulture activity, so they will get better benefits, and they will also provide job opportunities for others. Also, it's a very useful and beneficial business for rural sector or rural people. Infrastructure of sericulture in India. So Union Government, Central Silk Board, Central Silk Board coming under the Ministry of Textiles, Government of India is a central agency for the development of sericulture and silk industry. The main activities of the CSB are R&D, uptake of four-tier seed production network, supports the provincial government to implement field development programs, promotion of silk at national and international level, and framing implementing policy actions for the organized development of the industry. The activities of CSB are undertaken through 300 units and 4,000 employees in different parts of the country. 800 scientists and 2,500 technical staff are deployed for specialized areas in different disciplines of the industry. CSB spend about US $60 million per annum for the development of the sericulture and silk industry. So the Union government established a Central Silk Board. The activities of board are like this. So it has to see that the CSB, the main activities of the CSB are R&D, rural development, uptake of the four-tier seed production network, support the provincial government to implement field development programs, promotion of silk at national and international level, and framing implementing policy actions for the organized development of the industry. So these are the main functions of the Central Silk Board, which is established by the Union government and the provincial governments. All the provincial governments have separate departments dealing with the sericulture and silk industry. Their major responsibilities are implement field development programs, extension, marketing, seed production, and incentivize investments among the stakeholders. The investment by the provincial governments to the industry is at the level of US $50 million per annum. So this is about the provincial government, right? Now coming to private sector. The private sectors, including the non-government organizations, are also playing an important role for the development of sericulture industry. Private investment is witnessed in seed production. Private investment is witnessed in seed production, post and export sectors. Now coming to Central Research Institute of India. So there are several uh, central research institutions were established in India. Include Central Sericulture Research and Training Institute at Mysore, Karnataka, Central Sericulture Research and Training Institute at West Bengal, Central Tressor Research and Training Institute at Ranchi, Jharkhand, Central Silk Technological Research Institute at Bangalore, Karnataka. Now coming to Central Silk Boards. These are central research institutes which are established in different states of India, and the Central Silk Boards, Central Silk Board, Government of India in the year 1958. Central Silk Board was established in the year 1958 by Government of India, and Ministry of Textiles also established by Government of India. So important silk centers in India. So the states and silk centers. Important silk centers include uh, important silk producing states include Andhra Pradesh, uh, Dharmavaram, Pochampalli, Venkatagiri, Narayanpet. Andhra Pradesh producing silk for Andhra Pradesh producing silk centers are Dharmavaram, Pochampalli, Venkatagiri, Narayanpet. Assam, Salkuchi. Bihar, Bhagalpur. Gujarat, Surat, Bombay. Jammu and Kashmir, Srinagar. Karnataka, Bangalore, Mysore, Anekal, Melkota, Kollagal. Maharashtra, Palthan. Tamil Nadu, Kanchipuram, Arni, Salem and Tanjavur. Chhattisgarh, Chamsh, Chandri, Raigarh. Uttar Pradesh, Varanasi. West Bengal, Bishnupur, Mushirabad and Birbhum. Murshidabad and Birbhum. So these are the states and these are the silk producing centers in India. And Silk Road. Silk Road was the world's longest trade route between eastern China and Mediterranean Sea. Silk, the most valuable commodity in those times, was transported along this road. Mediterranean Sea. China was the first to start sericulture and the cultivation of silkworm spread throughout China soon. Today, China and India are the two main producers, together manufacturing more than 60% of the world production each year. So silk was exported along the Silk Road, the ancient trade route linking China and the Roman Empire. This trade brought China a great wealth, but the Chinese did not give away the secret on how silk was produced. So this is the Silk Road from China to Roman Empire. Okay, this is the Silk Road. Now coming to sericulture map of India. This is about the sericulture map of India. Now coming to conclusions. India is the unique country in the world where all four varieties of silk, namely mulberry, muga, tussar and eri, are produced. Sericulture has been identified as an occupation of low investments, employment creating and income generating. So sericulture has been identified as an occupation of low investments. With a low investment, we can get employment and we can create employment and get income. So it is a low investment um, industry and employment can be created and income generated easily. So favorable climatic conditions and participation of large number of women in sericulture industry will lead to the development of silk industry to a greater height. So what are the conditions needed for the sericulture means the climatic conditions should be maintained in a sericulture cottage. Why? Because too much temperature or too much cold not suitable for the development of the silkworm. So we need to maintain the climatic conditions and participation of a large number of women in sericulture industry lead to development of silk industry to a greater height. If a large number of women involved in this industry means it can go to a higher heights. Thank you. Thank you for your patient listening.